There are others that are doing things very special in the 2024 edition of the Indy 500.
There's very few drivers that drive everything today. He's one of them, and if anyone can do it, I think he can.
Who Santino Ferrucci is referring to is Kyle Larson, who will chase history by becoming the 5th driver to ever attempt to run the Indy 500 and NASCAR's Coca-Cola 600 on the same day. Now, only one man has ever completed all 1,100 miles in a day, but Larson, he's excited for the challenge.
It's a rare kind of group of guys that have gotten to do it, and I get to join that. I'm surprised there's really hasn't been that many of them, but hopefully in the future we can get more crossover.
Another milestone moment to look for on Sunday is the first car ever sponsored by a cosmetics brand. Longtime driver Catherine Legg is back on track for her 4th time in her career. She's one of 9 women who has ever raced in the 500, and she knows with the ever-changing climate of sports that her participation means more than just a result in the race.
Honestly, having Elf as a partner has been a dream, and I had no idea how meaningful it would be to so many people. But when you see all the young girls and women and even the guys saying, I had to go and buy Elf cosmetics for my daughter or my wife or whoever it may be, I think they just feel represented. They see the pink car, and while you and I might think, oh, it's pink, how cliche, it's actually representing a whole demographic of women that haven't been acknowledged yet.
Well, as far as Carb Day goes, everything went off without a hitch. No major incidents here. So now it's up to the drivers and their mechanics and engineers over the next 36 hours to get their car in tip-top shape. Because the next time you hear that noise, it'll be race day here at the Indianapolis 500. In Indy, Justin Rose.
Good stuff, Justin. Don't go away. Soccer and golf highlights are coming up after a short break. Yeah, Brooklyn, let's talk about that biggest race in the IndyCar circuit, the Indianapolis 500, that takes shape this weekend. It is commonly known as the greatest spectacle in racing. The Indianapolis 500 will rev its engine Sunday with all its glitz and the fanfare and the wonderful deep-rooted traditions. Don't think that fans are the only ones who get caught up in the nostalgia and the history of the Brickyard. It's not lost on the men trying to win this event either. For more on the biggest race of the season, let's head to Indy and welcome in our very own Justin Rose. Justin?
It can't be stated enough. The history and tradition at this racetrack, it's bar none. 108 years of it, and as the former champions gathered wearing their brand new blue jackets right here on the brick line, they all thought back of the times they were the ones that crossed the finish line first and just how special that moment was.
This place changed my life, as I say, professionally and personally, and obviously winning as an owner too, now twice, that's a thrill. This is just a very magical place. The history that's happened here over the years, the immensity of this facility, there's nothing like this in the world.
Incredible place with so much history here. 108 years of history. And now Roger, took over. And, the Penske family to see all here. I was 7 years driving for Roger. What else can I say? Thank you, God, I'm here.
Carb Day, one of the more exciting days here at the Indianapolis 500. The fans are here for the first time, and they are going nuts, checking out the paddocks, meeting the drivers, getting some autographs, but everyone's excited for these cars to get on the track for those final tune-ups before Sunday's race.
When we're so close, we're all very close, very good drivers. We're all pushing each other really hard. You've got to try and find that little bit. And that was probably my process, looking through that stuff and figuring it out and then seeing what I wanted from the race car.
I think it's just two very different situations. I think it's hard to compare like race running and practice results with qualifying because it's two very different things.
I feel very confident. I wouldn't lie to anyone, clearly. I've obviously been very honest, probably too honest in my life. So we're pretty stoked about this weekend.
Well, as far as Carb Day goes, everything went off without a hitch. No major incidents here. So now it's up to the drivers and their mechanics and engineers over the next 36 hours to get their car in tip-top shape. Because the next time you hear that noise, it'll be race day here at the Indianapolis 500. In Indy, Justin Rose.
Our own Justin Rose is in Indianapolis talking to fans about the anticipation of the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500.
The 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 about to take place later this afternoon, and on Saturday, no on-track activities. The drivers mentally preparing all those final little tweaks from the engineers to get these cars in tip-top shape. But on Saturday, well, that's when the fans absolutely showed out. Tons of people showed up for an autograph session, thousands of people to meet these drivers, and people from all over the world coming to take on this great American event.
Cars turning left, driving fast, America.
What is it that you guys love about coming to this event so much?
You can watch it on TV, but you go to something like this, and that's America in a way that doesn't come through on a screen. It's an experience you gotta have, and we love coming.
It's the biggest race event in the world, so why wouldn't we be here?
We met those yesterday, so we are the same group. Those three are the same group.
Oh, wait. So you guys aren't all together?
No. We are since yesterday we are, but we didn't come here together.
So you guys are gonna be like friends forever now?
Yeah, pretty much.
No matter where you go, you're making friends. If you're walking in, you're making friends. You're sitting in your seats, you're making friends. Everywhere at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you're making friends.
And it's not just the casual fans that know that this is just different. Even those whose job is literally to get the cars on the track to perform know the significance of the spectacle that is the 500.
It's the show. I've never been to a motorsport event where the roar of the crowd can deafen out the roar of 25,000 horsepower. The roar of a crowd can make that less significant. It's amazing.
So after everything that we've seen over the last couple of days, all the hype, the excitement, the build-up, it all leads to this spot next, the winner's circle. Who will be here at the end of the race? Your guess is as good as mine, but rest assured, this is going to be a fun day of racing in Indianapolis. At IMS, I'm Justin Rose.
Garden and Pato Award. Pato in the lead as they took the white flag, but coming into turn 3, Newgarden would power by him and hold on the rest of the way. Our Justin Rose saw it all with his own 2 eyes at Indianapolis Motor Speedway and joins us now with more on Newgarden's historic and emotional win.
How sweet it is for Joseph Newgarden winning the 108th Indianapolis 500. He becomes the first driver since Elio Castroneves, a guy who has 4 of them, winning it in back-to-back years. He did it back in 2001 and 2002. Now a new dynasty started with Newgarden this year.
It was a blur. I mean, you know, it was so intense the last 30 laps that it was difficult to just shut that off. I mean, it was flat out. Like, no one was lifting or giving anything up. I mean, I felt like I was wrecking half the time, and it looked like others were kind of the same way. I mean, it was full on. So when I crossed the line, you don't just shut the engines off. I mean, you're like still in full out mode. It's the opportunity that's the joy of it. And I say that because it is very difficult to win the race. It's very difficult to win it back-to-back, and I'm over the moon. I've got no words for what we've been able to do. I'm really proud of this team.
And while Newgarden's move on the final turn was thrilling for him, it was more than devastating for Pato Award, who came up just short at this historic race once again. This is the second time Award came in second, being overtaken late. And he felt like he had this race right up until he didn't. His emotions ran high after the race and into his post-race comments.
If there was one time where I had to put so much trust in my skill, it was today. There was so many where I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work out. I was so loose, so loose. That's what makes it so much more like, oh, right? Because I risked so much today.
And what a weekend it was at IMS. The race, unbelievable. If you have an opportunity to come down here for the Indianapolis 500 sometime in your life, say yes. 649 on-track passes, 16 different leaders, and it's the latest it's ever been to finish a race here. An unbelievable weekend, and we had such a joy bringing you all of our extended coverage from the 108th running of the Indy 500 in Indianapolis. One last time, I'm Justin Rose.
The IndyCar circuit is making a pit stop in the home of the car industry, Detroit, better known as the Motor City. For more on the streets of Detroit, here's Justin Rose.
Practice laps are done, and so too is qualifying for the IndyCar race in Detroit on the streets. It's a second faster than it was last year. The course management did a little bit of changes and some repaving to some spots to make it as fast as possible. And this is Team Chevy's event, but it's Honda 1 and Honda 2 atop the pole.
This is an extremely difficult place to drive for qualifying. It's probably the bumpiest track, even more bumpy than Belle Isle, I think. So when you hook up a lap, it's just a really lab. It feels really nice inside the cockpit.
It's tough here, especially because I mean it's really tight. So I would say the only passing point is probably turn 3. Having that said, I got overtaken last year when I would say it's more about trying not to follow the car in front. It's so tight that you start following the car in front instead of just doing your own line, and you start going slower and slower. So yeah, let's see what our race pace is tomorrow. But yeah, patience is key, especially with also all the yellow flags and restarts that we're going to have.
Coming off his second Indy 500 win, Joseph Newgarden is lying third on the pole, and he knows exactly how much this race means to his team. And he wants to put a good showing, knowing that a little bit of a rivalry between Honda and Chevy still exists, especially in Detroit.
To get a win here, what would that mean for you? I mean, that's a goal every weekend. I haven't had a win in a while, so fingers crossed the Cambridge Honda is fast. Hopefully we can continue that and kick them in their butt in their backyard.
Colton, I did interview him right in this very spot, and he did look directly at the camera and say, looking forward to kicking Chevy's butt at our home course, so we'll see. Any response?
Well, he's got a great opportunity. He's got a fast car. He's a fast driver on a street course. But I will say I think we've got a great opportunity to fight for the win as well. We'll see who comes out on top. But I'm happy to be backed by Team Chevy, certainly in our backyard. I think we've got the equipment to get it done.
So for the second year in a row, back on the streets of downtown Detroit, the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix kicks off on Sunday, 12:30. We'll have you covered with post-race coverage. Will it be Honda or Chevy? We'll see who takes that checkered flag. In Detroit, I'm Justin Rose.
Dixon's 33rd road course win, most all time. Marcus Ericsson finishes second for his best finish of the season, and Marcus Armstrong third, the best result of his IndyCar career. Honda took the top 4 spots, and Chip Ganassi Racing had 2 men on the podium. For more, here's Justin Rose from the race in Detroit.
Years ago, Scott Dixon jumped into the fountain on Belle Isle as a winner, a couple times in fact, but now that the race has moved back to the streets of Detroit, he had not tasted success until today. The 2024 Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix has its second winner in the downtown streets, and that's Scott Dixon for the first time.
I think for us as a team, we just try to cover all bases, man. So, I don't think there's a style or a classic way of winning, man. And honestly, you just take any win you can get. It was definitely action-packed today, and I think just so many ups and downs. It's a bit of a roller coaster. Most of the race was just, on restarts, looking in the rearview mirror in turn 3 and making sure that there wasn't anybody coming down that was going to take out the whole load of you.
It certainly was a chaotic race. 8 cautions and 47 laps under caution. So out of the 100, only 53 of them came down to the real racing. But it was Honda going 1, 2, 3, 4 in Chevrolet's backyard at their home race. And the Honda guys, they're even more happy to sweep the podium here.
Felt good to spoil the party for sure. I think Honda did a great job this weekend. We obviously had a tougher month of May than we would have liked as a manufacturer. So I know how hard they work over at HRC, and like you said, 1, 2, 3, 4. Couldn't be better for us. Yeah, it was cool to see Jim Campbell hand me the trophy today. Obviously, they don't want to do that. But yeah, I said to Jim, I was like, hopefully it didn't make him angry, and I'll see him in a week or so.
So the roar of the crowd for the 4th time for Scott Dixon here on the streets of Detroit as the champagne flows and the victory celebration will continue. But no rest for these guys. They're headed to Wisconsin for Road of America next weekend. We enjoyed covering this race for you guys all weekend long right here on Newsnet and Sports News Highlights, and we'll continue to do so with IndyCar as we continue through the season. In Detroit for one last time, I'm Justin Rose.